Imagine a world where temples are glued to vertical cliffs and glass dragons spiral through the clouds. Today, we embark on an epic expedition through landscapes that defy the laws of physics and the passage of time. From the red sandstone canyons of the east to the high-tech labyrinths of the technological future, these sites hold the unspoken legacy of human ingenuity. We invite you to witness the terrifying intersection of ancient myth and modern glory. Before we reveal these breathtaking marvels, let us know in the comments which country you are watching from. To ensure you never miss a secret from the edge of the world, subscribe and join our community of explorers. The extraordinary is waiting. Why would anyone build a horizontal skyscraper 250 meters in the sky? Completed in 2019, the Crystal Sky Bridge connects 4 massive towers, weighing 12,000 tons of steel and glass. It looks like a giant transparent caterpillar crawling across the skyline, a shimmering rib held up by titanium pillars. People say the bridge sways with the collective heartbeat of the city below. Warning: looking through the glass floor might steal your balance and your soul. Is this a bridge to the future? Or is it a golden cage designed to trap the restless mountain winds forever? Drive across the longest bridge over water, a 42-kilometer concrete serpent stretching into the mist. This engineering titan utilized 450,000 tons of steel and can withstand earthquakes, typhoons, and collisions from massive ships. It looks like a white ribbon floating on the turquoise sea, disappearing into the curvature of the earth. The bridge stands as a testament to scientific precision and national pride, a path carved through the waves. Sailors believe the bridge's lights are guided by the sea's rhythm. Does the road connect 2 cities, or does it merely divide the ancient ocean into 2 halves? A concrete titan holding back the wrath of a sleeping god. This is the world's largest hydroelectric power station, a 2,335-meter-long monolith that altered the Earth's rotation. It tamed the Yangtze River's floodwaters, creating a reservoir that stretches for 600 kilometers through jagged mountain gorges. It looks like a giant wall of steel and mist, a barrier between civilization and the chaos of the flood. As the spray rises like a dragon's breath, a heavy silence hangs over the valley. Can humanity truly cage the eternal river? Or is the dam just a temporary bandage on a wound that never heals? Driving on a road that has no ground beneath it, known as the Sky Road, this 240-kilometer highway in Sichuan features 270 bridges that coil around mountains like concrete snakes. The Labajin Bridge stands as one of the tallest in the world, piercing through layers of thick mountain fog. It looks like a white ribbon floating on a sea of clouds, a path carved into the thin air. ghostly mist often swallows the road, leaving drivers in a silent, white void. Are we driving to another city, or have we accidentally crossed the boundary into another world entirely? The earth trembles when the Yellow River is finally unleashed from its concrete cage. Located in Henan, this massive multi-purpose dam manages flood control and sediment flushing through a series of colossal outlets. When the gates open, the roaring yellow water erupts like a dragon's breath, creating a mountain of mist and thunder. It is a monument to human struggle against the Mother River, a testament to our will to survive. As the golden spray covers the sky, a heavy silence follows the roar. Can humanity truly tame the eternal current, or is the dragon merely biding its time? The stars have been replaced by a digital ballet of 1,000 artificial fireflies. Using swarm intelligence, these performances coordinate over 3,000 drones to create complex 3D animations in the night sky. They look like liquid light painting the heavens, forming dragons that dissolve back into the void. A celestial aura surrounds the display, evoking a sense of technological transcendence. Ancient spirits of the sky are said to watch these new lights with silent wonder. Are we writing a new mythology in the stars, or are we just blinding ourselves with the false brilliance of human electricity? Is this a city for the living, or a laboratory designed for the end of time? This high-tech hub features the Energy Flower, a 128-meter solar-powered tower shaped like a blooming lily. It looks like a massive, organic funnel of white steel appearing as a spaceship from a dream. A soft, silver light radiates from its petals at dusk, reflecting the ambition of a new era. Beneath the shimmering glass, the silence feels heavy and calculated. Are we building a sanctuary for nature, or is the future growing its own strange mechanical life? A 1,776-kilometer watery vein has pulse pumped through the heart of China for over 2,500 years. As the world's longest man-made canal, it connects the Yellow and Yangtze rivers through a labyrinth of ancient stone locks. It looks like a murky green serpent winding through neon cities, carrying the heavy weight of 1,000,000 forgotten journeys. Silvery ripples reflect the lanterns of 1,000 dead merchants in the dark. Does the water flow toward the sea, or is it running backward into the deep shadows of the past? Beware the labyrinth of curves, where straight lines go to die, and the horizon disappears. Completed in 2012, this complex consists of 4 continuous flowing volumes connected by soaring bridges, creating a world without corners. Its design was inspired by the traditional Chinese courtyard, but reimagined as a fluid, cosmic landscape of reinforced concrete and aluminum. It looks like a cluster of white mountains from a distant planet or a space station docked in the heart of the city. A ghostly silver light dances through the curved canyons, reflecting a chilling, futuristic silence. Are these offices for humans, or are they cells in a giant alien brain? Standing as a monumental achievement of human persistence and religious devotion, the Maijishan grottoes represent a pinnacle of early Buddhist art that has survived over 1,600 years of seismic activity and weathering. Historically documented to have begun during the late Qin era, 384–417 AD, this architectural marvel is carved into a purple-red sandstone peak in the Qinling Mountains. The site comprises 194 distinct caves and houses more than 7,200 Buddhist sculptures, along with 1,000 square meters of intricate murals. Geologically, the rock is too soft for fine carving, leading ancient artisans to use a unique clay-on-stone technique, blending shredded straw and mud to create the Oriental sculpture gallery that towers 142 meters above the valley floor. The visual impact is staggering. The sheer cliff face resembles a giant corn crib or a stack of harvested rice, where narrow wooden gangways cling precariously to the vertical rock like a spider's web woven by giants. From a distance, the thousands of niches look like a honeycomb of divinity, vibrating with the silent prayers of 1,000 years. As the sunset bathes the sandstone in a deep crimson glow, the serene smiles of the clay Buddhas seem to flicker with a life of their own. Local legends suggest that the mountain itself is a sleeping deity, guarding the secrets of the Silk Road within its hollowed heart. When the mist rolls in from the valley, the gangways disappear, leaving the statues floating in the clouds. Can you hear the faint echo of ancient chisels hitting the stone? Or is it merely the mountain, breathing through its 1,000 stone mouths? Why would a civilization choose to dwell within the dark, suffocating bowels of the earth for 9 millennia? The Sassi di Matera is not merely a city, it is a subterranean labyrinth carved into the calcarenite cliffs of the Basilicata region. Inhabited since the Paleolithic era, these stones represent one of the oldest continuously occupied settlements in human history. The architecture is a marvel of negative space, where houses are not built up, but hollowed out, creating a complex network of caves, cisterns, and rock-cut churches. By the mid-20th century, it was known as the Shame of Italy due to extreme poverty and disease, leading to a mass evacuation in the 1950s, only to be reborn as a UNESCO World Heritage masterpiece of ancient urban planning. Visually, the Sassi resembles a prehistoric beehive or a bleached stone skull with thousands of hollow eyes staring out over the Gravina ravine. The pale limestone facades stack atop one another so tightly that the roof of one house often serves as the street for the level above. As the blue hour descends, the flickering street lamps cast long, distorted shadows that dance against the cave entrances like ghosts of the former inhabitants. Local whispers tell of the monachikyo, mischievous spirits of children who died unbaptized, said to still haunt the damp corners of the abandoned grottoes. When the cold wind whistles through the stone chimneys, it sounds like a collective sigh from 1,000 years of suffering. Do the walls truly keep the cold out, or are they slowly absorbing the memories of everyone who has ever slept within their rocky embrace? Is this Earth, or have you accidentally crossed a gateway into a dead and airless world? The Valle de la Luna, located in the San Pedro de Atacama Desert, is one of the most inhospitable and geologically strange places on the planet. This salt-encrusted landscape was formed over millions of years by the folding of the Earth's crust, pushing up layers of salt, clay, and sand that were then eroded by the fierce desert winds. It is a place of absolute silence. In some parts of the valley, it has not rained for over 400 years, making it a biological zero zone where no life can survive. NASA has even used this terrain to test Mars rovers, as the mineral composition and lack of moisture perfectly mimic the Martian surface. The valley looks like the jagged skeleton of the moon, with white salt scars cutting through deep red and ochre dunes. The rock formations, known as the Three Marys, stand like petrified guardians over a landscape of wind-sculpted caverns and sharp, crystalline ridges. When the moon rises over the Cordillera de la Sal, the valley is bathed in a cold silver light that makes the salt deposits glitter like fallen stars. There is a chilling local legend that the valley is a giant acoustic chamber that traps the voices of lost travelers, and many claim to hear a faint, metallic clicking sound as the rocks expand and contract in the desert heat. Are we walking through a graveyard of the cosmos, or is the desert merely waiting for the first drop of water to wake up? Beware the blood-red surface of Lake Natron, for this is a place where the living are transformed into eternal stone. Located in northern Tanzania, the lake possesses a terrifying chemistry with a pH level as high as 12, nearly as alkaline as ammonia. This extreme environment is caused by the volcanic ash from the nearby Oldoinyo Lengai volcano, which saturates the water with sodium carbonate and other minerals. While temperatures can reach 60 degrees Celsius, only specialized salt-loving microorganisms and flamingos can survive here. For any other creature, a single dip results in calcification, a process that preserves the body in a macabre, salt-encrusted statue for eternity, creating a landscape of the living dead. The lake looks like a giant crimson wound on the parched skin of the Great Rift Valley, its surface a mirror of deep scarlet and jagged white salt crusts. From above, the swirling patterns of red cyanobacteria resemble a liquid galaxy made of blood and fire, contrasting violently with the black volcanic peaks nearby. A pale, sickly light reflects off the calcified remains of birds that line the shore, their stone bodies standing like silent sentinels of the salt. Local Maasai legends speak of a subterranean fire spirit that demands the souls of the curious, and the wind over the lake carries a dry, bitter scent of soda. Does the water kill to protect its secrets, or is the lake a portal to a world where time has stopped forever? Witness the moment where nature decided to spill its entire palette across the earth, creating a landscape so vibrant it defies belief. The Zhangye Danxia Geological Park, located in Gansu Province, is a masterpiece of Cretaceous sandstones and siltstones that were deposited 24 million years ago and later buckled by tectonic plates. The result is a surreal tapestry of rainbow mountains that stretches across 510 square kilometers. The technical precision of the layers reveals a history of climate change and mineral oxidation, where iron and other elements have turned the stone into shades of terracotta, lemon, and emerald. This is not mere rock. It is a geological record of the Earth's rhythmic breathing over millions of years. The mountains look like a vast sea of striped silk, or the undulating scales of a gargantuan subterranean dragon that has finally broken through the crust. The sharp ridges and rolling hills create a visual rhythm of fire and light, appearing as if the sun itself has been woven into the soil. Under the soft light of a passing rainstorm, the colors deepen into a liquid brilliance, making the earth glow with an otherworldly radiance. There is a spiritual stillness here, a sense of being in a cathedral made of pure color and ancient time. Local guides whisper that the mountains are the laughter of the gods, a gift to remind humans of the joy of creation. Can a heart remain heavy when walking across a bridge of rainbows frozen in stone? A titanium dragon emerges from the waves, only to vanish into a dark tunnel beneath the sea. The world's longest sea-crossing bridge spans 55 kilometers, built to withstand magnitude 8 earthquakes and violent typhoons. It looks like a white needle, sewing 3 cities together across the turquoise Pearl River Delta. As the bridge lights flicker at dusk, sailors say the sea spirits watch the traffic with envy. Is this a road for cars or a tether for a drifting empire? An alien organism has landed in the park, its metallic wings shimmering with a prehistoric grace. This design center features biomimetic curves inspired by fish scales and eagle wings, utilizing double-curved surfaces that defy traditional masonry. It looks like a giant golden beetle or a petrified leaf from a celestial forest. As the sun sets, the metallic skin glows with a fiery internal heat. Is this a place of work or a sacred vessel waiting for the return of its creator? Step into an infinite loop where the beginning and end are woven into a single silver thread. Completed in 2013, this Mobius strip-inspired structure serves as a media hub, utilizing a complex steel shell with 3D800 glass panels of varying shapes. Its engineering defies traditional geometry, creating a continuous, non-orientable surface that promotes natural ventilation. It looks like a giant silver cocoon or a transparent shell of a prehistoric sea creature floating in the urban gray. A soft, ethereal silver light fills the interior, evoking a sense of eternal rebirth and cosmic harmony. Is this a sanctuary for the phoenix, or are we trapped in a cycle that has no exit? Enter a shimmering glass butterfly where the world's treasures are gathered on a tropical shore. Located in Haitang Bay, this is the world's largest duty-free shopping center, featuring a massive 120,000 square meter glass and steel structure inspired by the blooming begonia. It looks like a translucent emerald crown resting on the white sands, reflecting the vibrant colors of the South China Sea. A rainbow light dances through the fluid skylights, evoking a sense of artificial paradise. Local whispers suggest a goddess of wealth dwells within the glass. Is this a palace for the living, or a temple built to honor the vanity of the world? Look up at the vertical sword of ceramic and steel that carves a hole through the clouds. Standing 530 meters tall, this tower is unique for its use of glazed terracotta mullions, which provide environmental protection and a distinct earthy texture. The engineering features a massive core and outrigger system to withstand the typhoons of the south. It looks like a soaring monolith from an ancient civilization reborn in the future, its sharp edges glinting like a titanium blade. A fierce, golden light bathes the summit as it breaks through the mist. Is this a monument to human will, or a stone prayer for the survival of the earth? Engineering logic defies gravity at the Xuankong Temple, a structural masterpiece built in 491 AD during the Northern Wei dynasty. Perched 75 meters above the ground on a sheer cliff of Mount Heng, this temple is the only one in existence that honors three traditional Chinese philosophies: Buddhism, Taoism, and Confucianism. The temple's 40 halls and pavilions are supported by crossbeams of hemlock oak, which were inserted into deep holes, chiseled into the rock, and treated with tung oil to prevent rot. Remarkably, the main weight is carried by the bedrock itself, while the thin wooden stilts seen from below are merely a psychological safety measure for visitors, proving that ancient architects mastered the principles of physics long before modern mechanics. The structure looks like a delicate bird's nest glued to a vertical wall, or perhaps a wooden dragon frozen in mid-flight against the grey limestone. It is a fragile-looking labyrinth connected by dizzying boardwalks that creak under the weight of history. As the golden light of dawn touches the eaves, the temple reflects a celestial radiance, appearing as a gateway between the earthly realm and the heavens. The monks used to say that not even a bird can find a place to perch where the gods have claimed the cliff. If you stand perfectly still in the hall of the three religions, you might feel the subtle vibration of the mountain beneath your feet. Does the temple hang from the sky by invisible threads, or is the mountain holding its breath to keep the sanctuary from falling? The Sumela monastery is a testament to the enduring power of faith, carved directly into the cliffs of the Altandere Valley at an altitude of 1,200 meters. Founded in 386 AD during the reign of Emperor Theodosius III, the monastery served as a center of Greek Orthodox education and spirituality for over a millennium. The complex is a marvel of rock-cut architecture, featuring a rock church, several chapels, kitchens, and a sacred spring that yields cold, crystal-clear water from the heart of the mountain. The interior walls are covered in vibrant frescoes dating back to the 9th century, depicting biblical scenes and the life of the Virgin Mary, preserved by the cool, dry air of the Pontic Mountains. Visually, the monastery resembles a fortress emerging from the dense, evergreen fog, a grey stone crown sitting atop a kingdom of emerald forests. Its white facades and dark windows look like eyes watching over the valley, unreachable and untouchable by the chaos of the world below. A soft, ethereal light often filters through the mountain mist, illuminating the faded halos of the saints in the frescoes, creating an atmosphere of profound silence and reverence. Pilgrims believe that the sacred spring possesses healing powers, a gift from the mountain to those who dare to climb the narrow, winding path. When the wind howls through the stone arches, it sounds like a Gregorian chant lost in time. Is it possible that the prayers whispered here centuries ago are still trapped within these cold, damp walls? Step out onto the wooden balconies of Cuenca, but be warned, the ground beneath your feet is nothing but a 100-meter drop into the rocky maw of the Hueca River Gorge. Why would 14th century architects choose to build houses that lean so far over the abyss that they seem to be contemplating suicide? The Casas Colgadas are the last remnants of a medieval city that once lined the entire cliffside, constructed with such daring precision that they appear to grow directly out of the limestone strata. Built primarily in the Gothic style, these structures utilize a complex system of internal timber bracing and exterior cantilevering to distribute weight across the treacherous cliff edge. Historically, these houses served as royal residences and later as a town hall, surviving centuries of erosion and political upheaval due to their strategic, albeit terrifying, location. The buildings look like a cluster of whitewashed birds clinging to a vertical wall, their dark wooden balconies reaching out like skeletal fingers, trying to touch the opposite side of the canyon. The contrast between the stark geometric lines of the houses and the organic, jagged chaos of the grey limestone creates a visual tension that feels like a physical weight on the chest. As the setting sun paints the gorge in shades of violet and deep ochre, the houses glow with a ghostly brilliance, appearing to detach from the rock and float in the twilight air. Local legends speak of the Lady in White, who can be seen pacing the balconies when the moon is full, her sighs echoing the creaking of the ancient wood. Does the cliff hold the houses up, or are the houses desperately clinging to the mountain to avoid falling into history? Be warned. As you walk the marble road of Ephesus, the echoes of 10,000 ghosts follow your every footstep through the shadows of the Library of Celsus. Founded in the 10th century BC, Ephesus was once one of the most powerful cities in the Roman Empire, home to the Temple of Artemis, one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. The engineering of the city was centuries ahead of its time, featuring a sophisticated sewage system, public toilets, and the world's first advertisement carved into the stone. The Great Theatre, which could seat 25,000 spectators, remains an acoustic marvel where a whisper on the stage can be heard in the highest row, reflecting the Greeks' mastery of sound and spatial geometry. The ruins look like the bleached marble bones of a titan, half buried in the sun-drenched hills of Anatolia. The towering facade of the Library of Celsus stands as a skeletal gateway to a lost world, its intricate carvings appearing like stone lace against the deep blue sky. In the pale light of dawn, the white marble reflects a ghostly radiance, and the shadows of the columns stretch across the agora like reaching hands. Chilling rumors among the night guards suggest that the statues in the Temple of Hadrian move when the moon is full, watching for the return of the emperors. There is a sense of crushing weight here, the pressure of 3,000 years of history pressing against your chest. Does the city sleep in peace, or is it a stone trap for the souls who once called it the center of the world? witness the eternal artery of a nation, a coiling dragon of water that has carved the destiny of an empire for 6 millennia. Stretching 6,300 kilometers from the Tibetan Plateau to the East China Sea, the Yangtze is the longest river in Asia and the lifeblood of 1/3 of China's population. It carries the weight of history through the jagged Three Gorges, governed by the world's largest dam and a series of ancient stone locks. Visually, the river looks like a shimmering emerald ribbon winding through monochromatic mountains and neon-drenched mega-cities. A pale silver mist often shrouds the water, reflecting the spirits of the millions who have lived and died on its banks. Local legends speak of the iron dragon that sleeps in the deep, maintaining the rhythm of the tides. Does the water flow toward the sea, or is it running backward into the shadows of the past? Is this a transportation hub for humans, or a gateway to a galaxy we haven't discovered yet? Designed by the legendary Zaha Hadid, this Starfish airport spans 700,000 square meters, featuring a central hub with 5 radiating piers to minimize walking distances. The structure utilizes massive steel pillars that branch out like trees, supporting a fluid roof that allows natural light to reach the lowest levels. Visually, the airport looks like a giant, copper-colored phoenix or a celestial hand reaching across the dusty plains of the north. A soft, golden glow spills through the fluid skylights, creating a sanctuary of light in the urban grey. Chillingly, the scale is so vast that voices seem to vanish into the rafters. Are we moving toward our flight gates, or are we being gently pulled into a vortex of a future not yet written? Look up and witness a digital heaven, pulsating with the vibrant dreams and neon nightmares of 1,000 modern gods. This commercial complex features one of the world's largest LED screens, measuring 250 meters long and 30 meters wide, suspended directly over a pedestrian plaza. The technical data reveals a screen capable of creating immersive 3D environments that dwarf the humans below. Visually, it looks like a river of liquid light flowing between the dark, geometric canyon walls of the city. An artificial electric dawn washes the shoppers in a false, shimmering radiance, masking the actual night sky. Chillingly, the screen's gaze feels constant and unyielding. Is this the sky of a perfect tomorrow, or is it a giant glowing eye designed to watch our every move and record our every desire? "11 pink pearls have fallen from the heavens into a sea of concrete and neon." This 468-meter scepter features 3 massive spheres and a glass-bottomed observatory hanging over the Huangpu River. It looks like a futuristic relic from a cosmic palace, casting a vibrant, neon pink radiance over the dark water below. The spheres pulse with light, like the hearts of forgotten gods watching the city sleep. Do the pearls hold the signals of the human world, or are they receivers for the secrets of the stars? Bathed in a golden aura, this architectural firework explodes from the heart of Macau's skyline. Standing 261 meters tall and completed in 2008, the Gran Lisboa is a structural marvel inspired by the blooming lotus, the symbol of the city. Its base is a massive LED-encrusted sphere containing over 1.2 million light-emitting diodes, while the tower features 58 floors of gold-tinted glass. It looks like a giant, shimmering golden fan or a celestial flower made of liquid sun. As the golden light pulses against the night sky, it is said to attract the luck of the universe into its core. Is this building a temple of fortune or a golden trap designed to catch the dreams of the restless? A luxury sanctuary is carved into the dark, jagged throat of a 90-meter-deep abandoned quarry. With 16 floors built below ground level and 2 floors completely underwater, it transforms an industrial scar into an architectural dream. It looks like a silver cascade clinging to a petrified stone skull, where waterfalls plummet into the turquoise pit. A ghostly subterranean glow radiates from the underwater rooms, reflecting the quarry's forgotten past. Chilling whispers echo through the stone hallways at night. Are you sleeping in a palace of glass or in the cold, silent embrace of a mountain's memory? An emerald forest hides a subterranean metropolis where luxury and nature merge in silence. This architectural marvel is 99% underground, topped by a lush park that masks a massive sunken shopping complex. It features 33-meter-high light towers and cascading water curtains that descend into the earth. It looks like a pixelated garden of the gods, where sunlight filters into deep glass canyons. A serene, earthly radiance permeates the walkways, echoing ancient tales of cities buried in treasure. Is this a garden of the future, or are we just excavating a dream that the earth tried to keep secret? A stone dragon sleeps across the spine of the world, guarding a history written in blood and brick. Stretching over 21,000 kilometers, this monumental defense was built over millennia using stone, earth, and the sheer willpower of millions. It looks like a jagged gray scar cutting through emerald peaks, its watchtowers standing like silent sentinels above the clouds. Golden sunlight bathes the battlements where ancient breaths were lost to the wind. Does the wall protect the land from invaders, or does it hold the ghosts of a vanished empire in its cold, rocky grasp? Look into the burning heart of the world's largest coal-fired furnace, where the Earth's ancient carbon is transformed into raw lightning. Located in Inner Mongolia, this industrial titan has a massive capacity of 6,620 MW, featuring 12-generation units that fuel the hungry pulse of Beijing. It looks like a giant industrial lung, breathing thick columns of steam into the vast Mongolian sky. a landscape of steel and fire. An intense orange glow radiates from the boilers, echoing the breath of a subterranean fire god. As the smoke rises, a haunting question remains. Is this energy sustaining life, or is it fueling the slow end of the world? Two winding dragons of white stone and glass merge to form the symbol of eternity. Designed by Zaha Hadid architects and completed in 2021, this complex features an infinity loop shape that maximizes natural light and connectivity. The structure utilizes perforated aluminum shades to regulate temperature, representing a peak of sustainable, high-tech architecture. It looks like a fluid white ribbon dancing in the wind or a mountain made of light and air. A serene, pearlescent glow radiates from the facade, symbolizing infinite health and energy flow. Does the building follow the path of the sun, or is it trying to outrun the very concept of time? Be warned, the shadows inside these volcanic spires move even when the wind is still, and the walls seem to remember the screams of those who hid here from the sword. The cave houses of Gurem, located in the heart of Cappadocia, are an otherworldly network of homes, churches, and monasteries carved into soft volcanic tuff. Historically utilized as a refuge for early Christians fleeing Roman and Arab invasions, the engineering involves hollowed-out pillars and underground tunnels that could house thousands of people in total secrecy. Geologically, the fairy chimneys were formed by ancient eruptions and wind erosion, providing a material that is easy to carve yet hardens upon contact with the air, creating a subterranean civilization that is both invisible and impenetrable. The landscape looks like a field of giant stone mushrooms, or the teeth of a subterranean titan breaking through the Earth's crust. Every spire is riddled with doors and windows, making the valley look like a haunted forest made of monochromatic stone. In the violet light of dusk, the chimneys cast long, distorted shadows that dance across the valley floor like the ghosts of a forgotten army. Local tradition says that the fairy chimneys are home to spirits who light lamps in the dark, a legend that masks the terrifying reality of life underground. There is a chilling feeling of being watched by 1,000 hollow eyes as you walk between the spires. Are these homes meant for the living, or are they stone sarcophagi for a history that was buried alive? Discover the Siren's Eye, a natural emerald pool carved into the white marble hem of Thasos Island, where the sea gods come to rest. Giola is a geological anomaly, a circular lagoon measuring 20 meters across and 15 meters wide, separated from the Aegean Sea by a narrow rock wall. The pool was formed over thousands of years as the relentless waves hollowed out the soft limestone, leaving a perfect, crystal-clear basin that is constantly refreshed by the sea spray. The water in the lagoon is significantly warmer than the surrounding ocean, creating a natural spa experience that has been famous since antiquity. Legend says the pool was created by Zeus for Aphrodite to bathe in, a sanctuary of beauty in a world of jagged stone. The lagoon looks like a brilliant emerald iris embedded in a vast, sun-bleached white skull of rock, staring eternally up at the Mediterranean sky. The contrast between the vibrant, still green of the pool and the crashing, deep blue of the waves outside creates a visual tension that feels like a spiritual embrace. As the midday sun strikes the white marble, the lagoon radiates a blinding, ethereal light that turns the water into liquid gold. Warning: local fishermen speak of the Song of Giola, a low-frequency hum of the tide that can lure the unsuspecting into the deep. There is a sense of pure, primordial joy here, where the salt air feels like a blessing. Is the lagoon a gift from the gods, or is it a trap designed to keep us from ever leaving the shore? Standing as a definitive marvel of Byzantine engineering, the Monastery of the Holy Trinity is one of the most geographically challenging structures in the Meteora complex. Historically established in 1475, although hermits occupied the site as early as the 14th century, it is perched atop a slender conglomerate pillar rising 400 meters above the Peneus Valley. The technical data reveal that for centuries, the only access was via a precarious system of rope ladders and nets hauled by windlasses, requiring absolute physical and mental discipline from the monks. Geologically, the sandstone and conglomerate rock provide a stable yet dizzying foundation, having been sculpted by wind and water over millions of years into these vertical sky columns. The monastery houses a small cross-in-square church with 17th century frescoes showcasing a high degree of artistic precision despite the extreme isolation of its construction. The structure looks like a tiny, red-tiled crown placed upon a giant, weathered grey finger pointing directly at the heavens, isolated from the world by a sea of air. Its stone walls seem to grow organically from the cliff, blurring the line between the work of man and the erosion of time. As the morning sun pierces the mist, the monastery reflects a golden, celestial light, appearing as a beacon of hope for the valley below. There is a local proverb that says, "To reach the Trinity, one must first forget the earth," a testament to the spiritual pride of those who called this abyss their home. Can a soul truly belong to the world when it spends every day hovering between the clouds and the rock? High High above the Alzu Valley, the sanctuary of Rocamadour clings to a limestone cliff like a vertical ladder of faith that has drawn pilgrims for over 1,000 years. This sacred site, built in levels against the rock, is home to the Black Madonna, a wooden statue carved by Saint Amador himself. Who lived as a hermit in the cliff's crevices. Historically, kings and commoners alike would climb the 216 pilgrim steps on their knees as an act of penance, seeking miracles from the Lady of the Cliff. The architectural complex consists of 7 chapels and a basilica, all anchored into the rock face with a precision that makes the buildings appear to be part of the geological strata, crowned by a medieval chateau that guards the summit. Haitang looks like a white stone cascade, frozen in mid-fall down the cliffside, its towers and ramparts overlapping in a dizzying display of medieval urbanism. The pale limestone reflects the light with a soft, ivory glow, making the entire sanctuary look like a celestial staircase rising out of the green valley floor. As thousands of votive candles flicker inside the Chapelle Notre Dame, the shadows of the Black Madonna dance against the damp rock walls, creating a sense of living divinity. There is a sacred legend that the Durandal sword of Roland is still embedded in the cliffside, protecting the village from harm. When the evening bells ring out across the gorge, the vibration seems to come from the mountain itself. How many millions of prayers have been absorbed into these stones, and do they make the cliff heavier or lighter for the earth to carry? Hold your breath as you peer over the limestone rim of the Grand Canyon of Europe, where the emerald blood of the mountains flows through a 700-meter-deep wound. The Verdon Gorge in Provence is a 25-kilometer-long architectural feat of nature, carved over millions of years by the Verdon River as it cut through the massive Jurassic limestone plateaus. The gorge features vertical cliffs that attract the world's most daring rock climbers, while the turquoise water at the bottom remains a constant, icy mystery. The engineering of the Route des Crêtes provides a dizzying circular path along the rim, featuring balconies that hang directly over the abyss, testing the nerves of every traveler who dares to drive its 144 curves. The gorge looks like a jagged green scar etched into the sun-bleached grey of the Provençal landscape, with the river appearing as a shimmering ribbon of liquid jade. The vertical walls are weathered into smooth, organic pipes and hollows, looking like the pipes of a giant stone organ waiting for the wind to play a melody. As the golden evening light filters into the canyon, the turquoise water glows with a ghostly internal luminescence, casting shimmering reflections on the cold limestone. Local legends speak of the Green Man of the Verdon, a guardian spirit who ensures the water never runs dry. There is a sense of ancient, unyielding silence here that washes away the noise of the modern world. Is the river carving the stone, or is the stone slowly drinking the river to stay alive? How could a mountain be carved into a god just to calm the wrath of 3 raging rivers? The Leshan Giant Buddha is a 71-meter-tall monumental achievement chiseled into a red sandstone cliff between 713 and 803 AD. Historically, a monk named Haitang initiated the project, believing the Buddha's presence would protect the boatmen at the confluence of the Min, Dadu, and Qingyi rivers. The engineering is a masterclass in ancient durability, featuring a hidden internal drainage system that has protected the stone from weathering for over 100 years. Visually, the Buddha looks like a seated stone titan guarding the water, his shoulders wide as a football field and his fingernails larger than a human body. As the sunset bathes the red sandstone in a deep crimson glow, the serene face seems to vibrate with ancient energy. Does he watch the water to save the living, or is he counting the souls lost to the current? Why did a giant pair of silver legs walk into the heart of Suzhou to stand forever in the smog and the shadows? Standing 301 meters tall, this skyscraper features dual towers that merge at the summit to form a massive, symbolic arch representing a gateway to the modern world. The engineering required a complex structural link at the top to maintain stability against the fierce winds of the Yangtze Delta. Visually, the building looks like a silver, geometric trousers silhouette piercing the sky, its glass skin shimmering like a titanium blade against the urban grey. A cold, hollow wind whistles through the massive void between the legs, creating a haunting, rhythmic sound. Is this a portal to a digital utopia, or are these the boots of a petrified titan waiting for the command to move? Who rings the bell when the gates are locked, and what souls are they calling to the summit? The air at Lurigompa is so thin it tastes like ice, and the ledges are so narrow that a single sneeze could send you tumbling into the desolate canyons of Upper Mustang. This 14th century cave monastery is a jewel of the Kagyu sect, carved into a vertical sandstone pillar that resembles a giant, petrified flute. The Kabum Kothi, or central chamber, contains a stunning chorten, stupa, and frescoes that are among the finest examples of Nua-style Buddhist art in existence, preserved for 700 years by the absolute dryness of the high-altitude desert. The technical difficulty of carving these chambers into the friable, wind-eroded sandstone required a mastery of rock stability and a total lack of fear from the ancient Tibetan builders. The monastery looks like a red swallow's nest clinging to a massive, fluted chimney of golden dust, appearing as if it were part of a celestial mirage. The stark red of the monastery's exterior is the only vibrant color in a world of monochromatic browns and grays, looking like a drop of blood on a sun-bleached bone. As the ethereal blue light of the Tibetan sky strikes the pillar, the monastery takes on a shimmering, unearthly quality, appearing to float above the valley floor. Local monks say the Chorten was built by dakinis, or sky dancers, in a single night, and that the mantras painted on the walls still spin with an invisible energy. Can you feel the vibration of the ancient chants in the rock? Or is it just the mountain trembling under the weight of the sky? Why would the Incas carve a zigzagging channel into a massive solid limestone boulder? And what liquid was intended to flow through its dark, cold veins? Cuenca, located in the Sacred Valley near Cusco, is one of the most enigmatic huacas, or holy places, in the Andes, consisting of a giant natural rock that has been intricately hollowed and sculpted. The site features a subterranean gallery with a polished stone altar where evidence suggests mummification or sacrificial rituals were performed in total darkness. The engineering is entirely subtractive. The Incas didn't build Cuenca, they revealed it by stripping away the rock to create labyrinths, amphitheaters, and celestial observation points that align with the movements of the sun and stars during the solstice. The rock looks like a giant grey brain that has been sliced open to reveal a labyrinth of blood and shadow, its surface scarred by geometric carvings that defy explanation. The jagged edges of the limestone resemble the frozen waves of a petrified ocean, making the entire site feel like a portal to a subterranean world. In the pale, thin light of the high-altitude dawn, the zigzag channel looks like a frozen lightning bolt, waiting for a sacrificial offering to bring it to life. Warning: local shamans claim that the rock still drinks energy from those who enter without respect, and a heavy, vibrating silence hangs over the inner chamber. Who was the last person to lie upon that cold altar? And does their spirit still linger in the crevices of the stone? The Uchisar Castle stands as the highest point in Cappadocia, a geological masterpiece formed from volcanic tuff that has served as a strategic watchtower for over 2,000 years. Historically, this massive rock outcrop was utilized by the Hittites and later the Byzantines, who hollowed out its interior to create a labyrinthine fortress capable of sheltering hundreds of people during invasions. The technical data of this structure is a marvel of subtractive architecture. The rock is composed of soft ash that hardens upon contact with air, allowing for the creation of multi-level rooms, secret galleries, and cisterns chiseled deep into the mountain's core. Geologically, it is the crown of the fairy chimney landscape, offering a 360-degree defensive view that made it nearly impenetrable to ancient armies. Visually, the castle resembles a giant, pockmarked sieve, or a monumental honeycomb rising abruptly from the dusty Anatolian plains. Its surface is a chaotic array of dark apertures and weathered ledges, looking like a stone giant that has been eroded by the whispers of history. As the golden Anatolian sun sets, the tuff absorbs the amber light, making the entire fortress glow like a dying ember against the purple horizon. Local folklore tells of the hidden masters who still dwell in the deepest sealed chambers, guarding the valley's secrets. When the wind whistles through the hollowed windows, it sounds like a low-frequency hum of 1,000 ancient soldiers. Does the mountain remember the blood spilled at its feet, or is it merely waiting for the earth to reclaim its stone? Enter the rain city of China, where the sky never truly dries and the giant panda first met the eyes of the world. Located in Sichuan, Ya'an receives over 1,200 millimeters of rain annually, creating a lush, moss-covered landscape that stays green even in the coldest winters. Historically, it was a vital hub on the Tea-Horse Road, where caravans carried the weight of empires through the mist. Visually, the city looks like an emerald basin, perpetually draped in a veil of silver fog, with the Qingyi River roaring through its center like a liquid jade serpent. As a soft, gray light filters through the clouds, the air feels thick with the scent of wet tea and ancient soil. Legend says, the rain is the tears of a goddess protecting the forest. Is the rain a blessing for the pandas, or a shroud designed to keep the city's secrets hidden forever? Why does the City of the Moon reach for the stars from the heart of a hidden, high-altitude valley? Xichang is home to one of China's primary satellite launch centers, situated at 1,500 meters, where the air is thin and the sky is perpetually clear. Historically, it has been a melting pot of Yi ethnic culture and cutting-edge aerospace science, blending ancient tribal traditions with the cold logic of rocketry. Visually, the city looks like a technological silver needle hidden within a bowl of ancient, rugged mountains. As the cold silver moonlight reflects off the launch pads, the valley takes on a ghostly, metallic radiance. Chilling stories suggest that the rockets are guided by the spirit of the moon goddess Zhangye herself. Are the machines chasing human dreams, or are they trying to escape the heavy memory of the Earth? Brace yourself for a vertical journey into the clouds where the ground vanishes beneath a soaring pillar of glass and steel. Located in the Wulingyuan Scenic Area, the Beilong Elevator is the world's tallest outdoor lift, scaling a sheer quartzite cliff of 326 meters in just 88 seconds. The engineering is a masterpiece of structural adaptation, featuring 3 double-deck cars that carry thousands of passengers daily through the heart of the Avatar Mountains. Visually, the elevator looks like a transparent silver sword, piercing the rugged throat of the mountain, appearing as a shimmering needle against the ancient stone. An ethereal silver light reflects off the glass as you break through the mountain mist, evoking a sense of celestial ascension. Is this a ladder for those who have forgotten how to fly, or are we temporary intruders in the home of the mountain gods? A ring of fire and glass rises from the tranquil waters of Taihu Lake, defying the horizon and the laws of traditional architecture. This 27-story toroidal masterpiece stands 100 meters tall, featuring a curved, hollow core that integrates the reflection of the water into its very soul. The engineering utilized a massive underwater foundation to support the weight of the silver and glass ring against the shifting lake bed. Visually, the resort looks like a giant glowing horseshoe or a fallen moon captured by the shore, its reflection forming a perfect golden circle of light. Indigo LEDs dance across its skin like electric veins in the evening mist, evoking a sense of hidden aquatic power. Is this a gateway to a hidden water kingdom beneath the lake, or is it a golden trap designed to catch the wandering moon for eternity? How can a city made of mud and prayer survive on a landscape so alien that it is known as Moonland? Lamayuru Monastery, one of the oldest in Ladakh, is perched on a jagged cliff overlooking a dried-up prehistoric lake bed that has eroded into surreal, cream-colored pillars. Founded in the 11th century by the scholar Naropa, the monastery is a labyrinth of prayer halls and monk cells built from sun-dried bricks and stones that seem to be melting into the mountain. Engineering is a precarious dance with erosion. The buildings are anchored into a fragile soil that has been weathered into sharp ridges and deep gullies, creating a vertical village that appears to defy the laws of geological stability. The monastery looks like a melted wax city or a cluster of prehistoric termite mounds cascading down a pale, monochromatic slope. The contrast between the vibrant red robes of the monks and the ghostly, bone-white moonland landscape creates a visual tension that feels like a dream from another planet. In the golden glow of the setting sun, the mud walls radiate a warm, amber light, making the entire complex look like a golden palace emerging from the dust. Local legend says that Naropa used his psychic powers to drain the lake that once covered the valley, trapping a demon beneath the monastery's foundations. There is a chilling vibration in the air during the evening chants, as if the trapped demon is still trying to shake the mountain. What lies beneath the mud, and how long can the prayers keep the earth from collapsing? Why was this city hidden from the world for nearly 4 centuries, tucked away in the dizzying heights of the Andes? Machu Picchu, built around 1450 AD at the height of the Inca Empire, remains one of the world's greatest archaeological enigmas. Situated 2,130 meters above sea level, it features over 200 buildings constructed with the ashlar technique, stones cut so precisely that they fit together without mortar, allowing the structures to withstand the frequent earthquakes of the region. The city is perfectly aligned with astronomical events, such as the Intihuatana stone, which points directly at the sun during the winter solstice, serving as a massive solar clock for a civilization that worshipped the light. The site looks like a jagged green crown, perched on the spine of the earth, with stone terraces cascading down the slopes like the giant steps of an ancient god. The grey granite ruins contrast sharply with the vibrant tropical forest, appearing as skeletal remains of a dream that refused to die. In the early morning, as the sun pierces the thick Andean clouds, the ruins are bathed in a ghostly silver light, evoking the presence of the Virgins of the Sun, who once roamed these corridors. Warning: local guides speak of the Apu mountain spirits who guard the site, and many claim to feel a heavy, ancient energy near the Temple of the Condor. Are we merely tourists in this sacred space? Or are we being watched by the spirits of an empire that never truly left? Hidden in the remote Zanskar region of Ladakh, this 12th century monastery is built into the mouth of a massive natural cave that overlooks the Lungnak River. Founded by the legendary scholar Sherab Zangpo, the structure is a precarious vertical village made of sun-dried mud bricks, stones, and twigs. It is one of the few remaining Buddhist monasteries in the Himalayas that can only be reached on foot, requiring a multi-day trek through a high-altitude desert that tests the limits of human endurance. Visually, Phugtol resembles a giant, dusty honeycomb or a cluster of swallows' nests lodged deep in the throat of a limestone giant. The structures seem to ooze out of the cave's mouth, their ochre walls blending perfectly with the surrounding barren mountainside. At dawn, a pale, ethereal light filters into the main prayer hall, catching the dust motes that dance around ancient Thangka paintings and soot-covered statues. There is a sacred spring within the cave that is said to never run dry, a miracle of the mountain that provides life in a land of ice and rock. Travelers often report a strange, vibrating hum that resonates through the cave floor, even when no one is chanting. Is this the sound of the Earth's core? Or is the mountain reciting a secret scripture that only the enlightened can understand? Witness the perfect synthesis of geological erosion and medieval engineering at San Miguel del Fai, a site where water and stone have fought for dominance for over 1,000 years. Located in the rugged landscape of Catalonia, this 11th century monastery is a marvel of Romanesque architecture, unique for being the oldest church in Spain, built entirely inside a natural grotto. The site is characterized by the spectacular waterfalls of the Rossignol and Tenes rivers, which have carved deep canyons and caverns into the limestone over millions of years. The monks who founded this sanctuary utilized the existing cave structures to create living quarters and chapels, ensuring the monastery remained invisible from the surrounding plateaus and protected from the harsh winds of the Pyrenees. The complex resembles a grey stone parasite, feeding on the damp, mossy walls of a giant amphitheater of rock. Stone arches and walkways cling to the precipice, often disappearing behind veils of falling water that turn the entire monastery into a shimmering, liquid fortress. As the sun sets, the mist from the waterfalls catches the light, creating fleeting rainbows that dance against the cold, dark cave entrances. There is an immense sense of local pride in this site, often described as the soul of the Catalan cliffs, where the murmur of the water is believed to be the voice of the mountain itself. Legend says the caves go deeper than human records show, reaching into the very heart of the earth where the first hermits found God. Can the human spirit truly find peace in a place where the ground is constantly being washed away? For over 600 years, the Monastery of the Holy Trinity has stood atop a 400-meter-high conglomerate pillar, a feat of logistics that remains a technical mystery to modern builders. Built in 1475, it is one of the most iconic structures in the Meteora complex, a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It reportedly took ancient monks over 70 years to haul the construction materials to the summit, using only nets, ropes, and baskets, as no stairs existed until 1925. The monastery is perched on a surface area of only a few acres, yet it houses a central cathedral decorated with 17th century frescoes, a refectory, and a majestic courtyard that offers a panoramic view of the Pindus Mountains. Its isolation was so absolute that it served as a perfect fortress during times of political upheaval. The structure looks like a tiny, red-roofed crown, sitting on a massive, weathered grey finger pointing directly at the stars. The vertical walls of the pillar are so smooth and steep that they appear polished by the hands of deities, separating the spiritual realm from the chaotic world below. In the early morning light, the monastery often sits above a sea of clouds, appearing as a floating island in a celestial ocean. A local proverb says that the rope only breaks when it is God's will, a reminder of the terrifying ascent the monks once made daily. There is a profound stillness here, where the air feels thin and charged with centuries of incense and prayer. If the path to God is this steep and treacherous, how many souls have lost their way in the clouds before reaching the top? In the frozen desolation of the Southern Ocean, the tubular icebergs, better known as tabular icebergs, represent the most geometrically perfect structures in the natural world. Unlike the jagged peaks of typical icebergs, these massive monoliths are characterized by vertical sides and a flat top, often extending for thousands of square kilometers. They are formed through the carving process of massive ice shelves, such as the Ross or Rona ice shelves, where the pressure of the moving ice creates clean, 90-degree fractures. These ice giants can rise 100 meters above the waterline and extend hundreds of meters below, acting as floating islands of fresh water that can survive for decades as they drift toward warmer latitudes, governed by the cold physics of the Antarctic circumpolar current. Visually, these icebergs look like giant white tablets of the gods or a fleet of flat-topped skyscrapers drifting across a sapphire sea. Their surfaces are so impossibly flat and white that they appear like a blank canvas stretched across the horizon, contrasting violently with the dark, churning waters of the deep. In the ethereal light of the midnight sun, the ice takes on a ghostly, blue-violet luminescence, making the vertical walls look like polished marble. There is a scientific reverence for these structures, often described as the architectural bones of the planet. Legend among sailors says that the icebergs are the tombstones of a lost civilization that once lived at the pole. When the ice groans and cracks, it sounds like a low-frequency hum from the center of the Earth. Is the ice protecting the world's memory, or is it slowly melting it away? Don't look down, for one slip on these shimmering white terraces could send you sliding into a pool of liquid history. Pamukkale, meaning cotton castle in Turkish, is a surreal landscape of travertine terraces formed by the overflow of thermal springs saturated with calcium carbonate. Over millennia, the cooling water has deposited thick layers of white limestone, creating a series of cascading basins that have been used as a spa since the 2nd century BC. Perched atop these white cliffs are the ruins of Hierapolis, an ancient Greco-Roman city where the engineering of the thermal baths and the Great Theatre demonstrates a sophisticated understanding of geothermal energy. The water, maintained at a constant 35 degrees Celsius, flows at a rate of 400 liters per second, sustaining a cycle of mineral deposition that keeps the terraces perpetually white. The site looks like a giant frozen waterfall of milk or a mountain of salt stacked against a green valley, its terraces resembling the delicate petals of a white lotus. The turquoise water within the basins creates a brilliant contrast against the blinding white stone, making the entire mountain appear as if it were made of snow in the middle of a Mediterranean summer. At sunset, the white travertine reflects a soft, bruised purple and orange light, giving the castle a ghostly, translucent glow. Warning: local whispers tell of the Pool of the Gods at the summit, where those who bathe after midnight might never return to the world of the living. Is the mountain a sanctuary of healing, or is it a stone cage for the spirits of the ancient Romans who never left the baths? Look up and realize that millions of tons of solid basalt are hanging just inches above your head. This is a city where the sky is made of cold, unyielding stone. Setenil de las Bodegas is not built on the rock, but deep within its throat, utilizing the massive natural overhangs of the Trejo River Gorge to create roofs for its houses. Unlike other cliff towns that look out over the abyss, Setenil faces the mountain from within, with entire streets tucked under the belly of the cliff. This unique semi-troglodytic architecture dates back to the Moorish era, providing natural climate control that keeps the interiors cool in the scorching Andalusian summers and warm in the winters. The engineering is as simple as it is terrifying. The rock provides the structure, and the humans merely provide the walls. The town looks like a whitewashed village that has been partially swallowed by a stone monster, with the dark, jagged overhangs appearing like the closing jaws of the earth. The narrow streets are perpetually in shadow, creating a claustrophobic beauty where the heavy grey weight of the mountain feels like a physical presence on one's shoulders. When the dim streetlights flicker on at dusk, the underside of the rock glows with a pale, sickly amber, making the houses look like teeth embedded in a giant's gum. Local whispers suggest that the mountain has a memory and that the stones groan at night under the weight of the secrets they have witnessed. There is a constant nagging question that haunts every visitor who walks these shaded alleys. Is the rock protecting the people, or is it slowly, millimeter by millimeter, crushing them into the dust of time? Watch the horizon with fear, for the Cape of Good Hope is where the giants of two oceans clash in a boiling cauldron of foam and death. Located at the southwestern tip of the African continent, This legendary promontory has been a graveyard for ships since Bartolomeo Diaz first sighted it in 1488. The engineering of the old lighthouse, perched 238 meters above the sea, proved useless during the thick Atlantic fogs, leading to its replacement by a lower, more powerful beacon. The geology of the Cape is dominated by rugged Table Mountain sandstone, which has been battered into vertical cliffs by the Cape Doctor, a fierce, southeasterly wind that can reach speeds of 100 kilometers per hour, creating waves that tower over the masts of even the largest vessels. The Cape looks like a jagged black tooth of the continent, biting into a sea of white spray and turquoise chaos. The vertical cliffs drop into a churning vortex of dark water, where the cold Benguela and warm Agulhas currents fight for dominance. Under a stormy sky, the waves glow with a sickly, phosphorescent light, and the roar of the ocean is so loud it drowns out the very thought of safety. Legend says the Flying Dutchman is cursed to sail these waters for eternity, a ghostly ship that appears only to those destined to sink. There is a chilling feeling that the land is trying to push the sea back, and the sea is winning. Can a ship ever truly find hope in these waters? Or is the name merely a cruel joke played by the ocean? Dominating the skyline of Cappadocia, Orta-Hissar is a massive 86-meter-high geological fortress carved out of a single volcanic tuff outcrop. This middle castle has served as a strategic defensive point for various civilizations, including the Hittites, Romans, and Byzantines, due to its natural elevation and the ease with which its soft rock could be hollowed into rooms and tunnels. The engineering of the castle is a masterclass in cave architecture, with a labyrinth of interconnected chambers, storage units, and observation posts hidden behind its rugged exterior. Geologically, the rock is composed of compressed volcanic ash, which provided both insulation and structural integrity, allowing the town to grow around its base as a major agricultural and commercial hub for the region. The castle looks like a giant, pockmarked chimney or a petrified eagle's nest rising abruptly from the surrounding plateau. Its surface, riddled with windows and doorways, makes it appear like a massive stone organism that has been weathered by the sands of time into a jagged, monumental spike. As the sun sets over the fairy chimneys, the castle is bathed in a warm, amber light, casting long shadows that reach across the valley like the hands of a subterranean titan. Residents take immense pride in this vertical village, believing it to be the heartbeat of the valley that has never been conquered by force. Visitors often wonder about the secret passages that supposedly lead from the castle's peak to the dark depths of the valley floor. Is this rock a fortress for the living, or a monument to the countless generations who have turned the earth into their home? Why did the 14th century hermits build their sanctuaries upon columns of the sky that no human ladder could ever hope to reach? The Great Meteoron is the largest and oldest of the Meteora monasteries, perched atop a massive sandstone pillar, 6 and 15 meters above the Thessaly plains. Founded by Saint Athanasios the Meteorite, the monastery was originally accessible only by long rope ladders or a net hauled up by a hand-turned windlass, a terrifying ascent that lasted over half an hour. It wasn't until the 1920s that steps were carved into the rock, finally ending centuries of isolation where the monks lived closer to the stars than to the soil. The monastery looks like a stone ship sailing through a vast sea of grey clouds, its red-tiled roofs acting as the only color in a landscape of monochromatic giants. The vertical cliffs are so smooth they look polished by the hands of gods, separating the spiritual realm from the chaotic world below. Inside the sacristy, the flickering light of a single candle reveals rows upon rows of neatly stacked skulls belonging to former monks, their empty sockets staring into eternity. A heavy silence hangs over the courtyards, broken only by the distant chime of a bell that seems to ring from another dimension. Visitors are warned never to linger near the edge when the mist is thick, as the boundary between the cliff and the air becomes invisible. Do the monks stay here to be closer to God, or are they guarding a gateway that was never meant to be opened? A unique architectural achievement carved partially out of the adjacent mountain and surrounded by cliffs, the monastery of Gegard is a masterpiece of medieval Armenian masonry. Founded in the 4th century by Gregory the Illuminator at the site of a sacred spring inside a cave, the current complex dates back to the 13th century under the patronage of the Prussian princes. The engineering is extraordinary. Several of the churches and tombs are entirely hollowed out of the solid basalt rock, featuring intricate carvings and acoustics that were designed for liturgical chants. Geologically located at the head of the Azat Valley, the site is a UNESCO World Heritage Treasure, historically famous for housing the spear that allegedly wounded Jesus on the cross, brought to Armenia by the Apostle Thaddeus. The monastery looks like a dark, jagged wound in the side of a mountain, where the stone has been softened into delicate lace and sacred crosses. The grey basalt facades blend so perfectly with the surrounding cliffs that the entrance feels like a portal into the very heart of the earth. When the sunlight filters through the small openings in the rock-cut ceilings, it creates a ghostly, ethereal atmosphere, illuminating the ancient Kachkars, cross stones, with a pale, silver radiance. Local pilgrims believe that the water from the sacred spring within the cave can heal the blind and the broken-hearted, a gift from the mountain itself. Does the mountain harbor the church, or has the church become the soul of the mountain? Brace yourself for the most dangerous and beautiful dance between engineering and nature on a road that clings to the face of a vertical mountain like a desperate lover. Chapman's Peak Drive, known locally as Chappies, is a 9-kilometer engineering marvel featuring 114 curves carved into the 630-million-year-old Cape granite and overlying sandstone. Constructed between 1915 and 1922, the road required the creation of half-tunnels and massive rockfall protection canopies to prevent the mountain from reclaiming the path. The drive offers a 180-degree view of the Atlantic Ocean, where the vertical drop from the road to the crashing surf below is over 150 meters, a height that turns the largest whales into mere specks in the blue. The road looks like a slender, grey serpent, coiled around the rugged throat of a jagged giant, appearing as a fragile thread holding the mountain and the sea together. The orange-brown sandstone cliffs tower overhead, weathered into menacing overhangs that look like the closing jaws of a stone beast. During a blood-red African sunset, the granite glows with a fierce, metallic radiance, and the ocean below turns into a churning cauldron of violet and gold. Sailors often warn that the ghost of Chapman watches the curves, guiding those who respect the mountain's power. There is an exhilarating tension in the air, a mixture of salt spray and the smell of ancient dust. Is the road a triumph over the cliffs, or is it a temporary truce granted by the earth? How can a single region pulse with the energy of 3 distinct worlds, merging into a futuristic titan of commerce and light? The Greater Bay Area is a 56,000 square kilometer mega-cluster, integrating 9 cities in Guangdong with Hong Kong and Macau to create a global technological powerhouse. It is anchored by massive infrastructure like the 55-kilometer sea-crossing bridge and a high-speed rail network that connects 86 million people in less than an hour. The landscape looks like a sprawling electric constellation or a digital tapestry of glass and steel reflecting off the turquoise Pearl River Delta. A shimmering neon aura bathes the horizon at night, evoking the presence of a new synthetic divinity. Chillingly, the city lights are so bright they mask the stars. Are we building a unified utopia, or are we creating a massive, glowing labyrinth from which there is no escape? Ancient imperial souls meet the cold logic of the future in a city that has served as the heart of power for over 3,000 years. Beijing is a masterclass in urban symmetry, anchored by the 72-hectare Forbidden City and expanded through 6 concentric ring roads that house 21 million people. Historically, the city follows a north-south axis designed to channel cosmic energy, blending Ming Dynasty architecture with the glass and steel fury of the 21st century. Visually, the city looks like a giant imperial phoenix rising from a sea of grey hutongs and shimmering skyscrapers. A golden radiance reflects off the yellow-tiled roofs at sunset, evoking a sense of eternal authority and hidden wisdom. Local proverbs say that every stone in the city has ears to hear the secrets of the past. If the walls could speak, would they tell us of glory, or would they warn us of the fire to come? If you hear the sound of a bell echoing through the Kidron Valley, do not follow it, for the path to Mar Saba is paved with the bones of those who lost their footing. Founded in 483 AD by Saint Sabas the Sanctified, this is one of the oldest inhabited monasteries in the world, a fortified complex clinging to the sheer cliffs of a desert gorge. The architecture is a brutalist blend of defensive walls, domes and balconies that seem to hang by sheer willpower over the 200-meter drop. Historically, it served as a center for theology and law, surviving countless raids and wars due to its isolated position and the unyielding spirit of the monks who live here under a vow of extreme poverty and silence. Tihi Monastery looks like a white stone waterfall frozen against the parched, brown skin of the desert, its towers and ramparts cascading down the cliff like a petrified river. The stark contrast between the order of the architecture and the chaotic violence of the canyon creates a sense of terrifying peace. At dawn, a silver, ethereal light reflects off the domes, making the complex look like a celestial fortress appearing out of a mirage. Local lore speaks of the white monk, who appears on the ramparts whenever danger is near, a silent omen that has guarded the monastery for 15 centuries. There is an atmosphere of absolute crushing holiness here that makes the breath catch in your throat. If this is a refuge for the soul, why does the mountain look like it wants to throw the monastery into the abyss? Don't look down. That is the only rule when navigating the narrow, crumbling ledges that lead to Fir Tree House in Mesa Verde. This 13th century cliff dwelling, hidden deep within a sandstone alcove, is a masterclass in ancestral Puebloan survival and architectural adaptation. The site consists of several rooms and kivas, circular ceremonial chambers, built from hand-cut sandstone blocks held together with a mortar of mud and ash. The engineering allowed the inhabitants to utilize the thermal mass of the canyon walls to stay warm in the winter and cool in the summer. Mysteriously, the site was abandoned after only a few generations, leaving behind a silent collection of rooms that seemed to wait for a return that never happened. The ruins looked like a cluster of swallows' nests made of gold and shadow, tucked into the protective embrace of a giant stone mouth. The geometric lines of the stone walls contrast sharply with the rough, chaotic ceiling of the alcove, creating a visual sense of fragile security. In the golden hour, the sun illuminates the inner chambers with a fiery orange glow, making the soot-stained ceilings look like dark clouds hovering over the dead. Local legends speak of the sky people who still guard the kivas, and many claim that to touch the stones without permission is to invite a sickness of the mind. Is the wind howling through the canyon the voice of the fir trees, or the spirits of a people who vanished without a trace? Rising on a pillar of glass and fear, you are propelled 326 meters into the sky within the world's tallest outdoor elevator. Located in the Wulingyuan Scenic Area, this engineering marvel scales a sheer quartzite cliff in just 88 seconds, utilizing 3 double-deck cars that can carry 4,900 kilograms each. The technical precision required to anchor the steel shafts into the vertical rock face while preserving the surrounding ecology is a peak of modern structural adaptation. Visually, the elevator looks like a transparent sword, piercing the heart of the Avatar Mountains, appearing as a shimmering vertical line against the rugged stone. An ethereal silver light reflects off the glass as you break through the clouds. Local monks say the lift is a ladder for those who have forgotten how to fly. Is this a gateway to the heavens, or are we just temporary intruders in the home of the gods? Witness the Gibraltar of the East, a massive limestone plateau that rose from the Aegean Sea during a 4th century earthquake, severing its connection to the Peloponnese mainland. Monemvasia, meaning single entrance, is a medieval fortress city hidden on the back of this giant rock, invisible from the shore. Founded in the 6th century as a refuge from Slavic and Avar invaders, it became a powerful Byzantine port and a legendary stronghold that resisted countless sieges. The architecture is a dense, golden-hued labyrinth of Venetian and Byzantine stone houses, narrow vaulted alleys, and 40 ancient churches, all encased within a perimeter wall that clings to the very edge of the vertical cliffs. It is a city that exists entirely on a vertical plane, where the past is not buried but lived in every day. The island looks like a colossal stone ship moored in the turquoise waters of the Murtoan Sea, its sheer grey cliffs acting as an impenetrable hull against the waves of time. The houses are built from the same golden stone as the rock itself, making the entire city appear like a natural outcropping that has been refined by human hands. At twilight, the city takes on a deep, melancholic purple hue, and the sound of the sea crashing against the lower walls creates a rhythmic, oceanic heartbeat. There is a poetic legend that the souls of the sailors who died in sight of the rock are woven into the very mortar of the walls. Walking through the silent, moonlit streets, one feels an eternal gaze coming from the ruins of the upper citadel. Does the rock protect the city from the sea, or is it a stone cage for a history that refuses to die? What hides beneath the turquoise curtain of Anse Source, where the granite giants sleep in the white sand? This stretch of coastline on Mahe Island is a masterclass in the unique geology of the Seychelles, which are the only mid-oceanic islands in the world made of granite rather than volcanic rock. These massive, smooth-faced boulders are the remains of the ancient supercontinent Gondwana, standing for 750 million years against the relentless erosion of the Indian Ocean. The technical data of the surrounding coral reef shows it acts as a massive natural breakwater, protecting the shallow, crystal-clear lagoon that remains calm even during the monsoon seasons, providing a sanctuary for thousands of species of tropical fish and sea turtles. The beach looks like a ribbon of white powder, scattered with the petrified eggs of a prehistoric titan, where the massive grey boulders lean against each other like weary gods. The contrast between the ancient, unyielding granite and the soft, shifting turquoise water creates a sense of eternal time and fragile beauty. As the sun sets, the granite takes on a warm, pinkish hue, and the shadows of the palms stretch across the boulders like dark fingers. Chilling local tales speak of Sungula spirits that hide in the crevices of the stones, watching the tide for the return of the ancient kings. There is a profound silence here, where the only sound is the rhythmic hiss of the sea. Is the island a remnant of a lost world, or are we the first humans to ever disturb its stone sleep? Stand before the petrified waterfalls of Oaxaca and witness the impossible, a cascading torrent of water that has been frozen into unyielding stone for thousands of years. Hierve el Agua consists of two massive rock shelves that drop 50 to 90 meters into the valley below, formed by the slow dripping of spring water supersaturated with calcium carbonate and other minerals. This geological process, similar to the formation of stalactites in a cave, has created white, veil-like structures that look exactly like falling water. At the summit, natural infinity pools filled with mineral-rich turquoise water offer a healing sanctuary, fed by ancient underground aquifers that have been considered sacred by the Zapotec people for over 2,500 years. The falls look like a white lace shroud, draped over the dark, rugged shoulders of the Sierra Norte Mountains, a ghostly apparition of movement in a landscape of static heat. The smooth, bulbous textures of the calcified stone resemble the flowing robes of a petrified deity, forever caught in the act of descending to the valley. As the sun strikes the white mineral deposits, the waterfall radiates a blinding celestial light that makes the surrounding green forest seem dark and heavy. Local shamans believe the site is a lung of the earth, where the mountain breathes out the life force of the ancestors. There is a profound sense of temporal distortion here, where seconds feel like centuries. Does the water wish to flow again, or has it found peace in its eternal, rocky form? Stop! Do not touch the fragile mud walls of this ancient granary, for it holds the hunger and the hope of a civilization that vanished into the Sierra Madre centuries ago. Cueva de la Olla is a spectacular archaeological site in Chihuahua, featuring a massive, jar-shaped structure built from wattle and daub by the Mogollon culture around 1000 AD. This olla, or pot, stands over 3 meters tall and was used to store maize, protected from the elements within the mouth of a large natural cave. The engineering is a masterpiece of thermal regulation and pest control, utilizing the cave's stable microclimate and the mud's natural durability to preserve the lifeblood of the community against the harsh desert environment. The cave mouth looks like a dark, yawning eye in the side of a red canyon, with the giant mud jar sitting inside like a golden pupil. The texture of the granary is organic and smooth, resembling the belly of a great earthen beast or a giant swallow's nest hidden from the sun. As the desert dust swirls at the cave's entrance, the olla glows with a warm, earthy radiance, appearing as a holy relic of a lost agricultural age. Local legends suggest that the little people of the mountains still guard the empty granary, and that the smell of parched corn can still be detected when the wind is still. There is a chilling feeling of abandonment here, as if the people simply walked away mid-meal. Is the jar truly empty, or is it filled with the ghosts of 1,000 failed harvests? Climb the winding spirit path through the cypress forests of Thimphu, but beware the black eagles that guard the cliffs of Cherry Monastery, Bhutan's first monastic center. Established in 1620 by Ngawang Namgyal, the Zhabdrung Rinpoche, this monastery is a vertical sanctuary perched on a steep hill where the air is thick with the scent of juniper and prayer. The architecture is a rugged example of Bhutanese Dzong-style masonry, featuring thick whitewashed walls and heavy timber beams anchored into the jagged rock. Historically, it served as the retreat where the Zhabdrung spent 3 years in total silence, and it remains one of the most sacred meditation sites in the kingdom, housing the silver chortens of the monastery's founding lamas. The complex looks like a silver crown, resting on a throne of emerald forest, its golden roofs glinting like sparks of fire against the deep green of the mountainside. The buildings appear to be cascading down the cliff, held back only by the strength of the ancient cypress roots that weave through the stone foundations. As the incense smoke rises from the courtyards, the monastery is shrouded in a pale, mystical veil, making it look like a gateway to the hidden land. Local monks believe that a tigress lives in the caves beneath the altar, protecting the Zhabdrung's spirit from wandering demons. There is an overwhelming sense of ancient watchful energy here, as if the mountain itself is breathing through the monastery's windows. Is the silence of Cheri a peaceful rest, or is the mountain holding its breath to hear the footsteps of the divine? Standing as a white pearl embedded in the dark, vertical throat of the Ostroshka Greda mountain, the Ostrog Monastery is a miracle of 17th century spiritual engineering. Founded by Saint Basil of Ostrog, whose uncorrupted body is still kept in the lower cave church, the monastery is built directly into a massive natural cave, 900 meters above the Zeta Valley. The facade is a brilliant, unblemished white that stands out against the grey and ochre of the surrounding cliffs, symbolizing a divine light shining in the darkness of the world. It is the most important Orthodox pilgrimage site in the Balkans, attracting people of all faiths who come to seek healing and spiritual guidance from the saint who chose to live where the eagles nest. The monastery looks like a celestial gateway appearing out of the solid rock, its arches and balconies seeming to be part of a divine vision, rather than a structure of mortar and stone. It is a vertical sanctuary where the boundary between the earthly realm and the divine feels paper-thin, appearing as a fortress of peace in a landscape of rugged violence. As the setting sun bathes the valley in a golden haze, the monastery reflects an ethereal glow that seems to illuminate the very soul of those who look upon it. Local believers claim that Saint Basil still walks the monastery grounds at night, and many report spontaneous healings after touching the cave walls. There is a profound sense of human insignificance here, where the mountain's scale makes the ego vanish into the thin alpine air. Does the mountain hold the monastery in its heart, or is the monastery the only thing keeping the mountain from collapsing into the valley? Perched atop the jagged peak of Mount Perciriano, the Sacra di San Michele is a towering architectural scream that served as the inspiration for Umberto Eco's The Name of the Rose. This 10th century Benedictine abbey is built on a foundation of sheer rock that plunges into the Susa Valley, marking the midpoint of a 2,000-kilometer ley line of St. Michael that stretches across Europe. The engineering is a brutalist masterpiece of medieval stonework. The main church is supported by a massive 26-meter-high plinth that merges seamlessly with the mountain's granite. To reach the sanctuary, visitors must climb the Stairway of the Dead, a steep stone passage flanked by the skeletons of monks, leading to the Zodiac Door, where the heavens and earth meet in carved marble. The abbey looks like a grey stone sword, driven into the heart of the mountain, its Romanesque arches and Gothic spires piercing the thick alpine mist. The structure appears to be more mineral than man-made, a vertical spike of faith that defies the gravity of the valley below. Under the cold light of the North Star, the abbey's silhouette is sharp and menacing, reflecting the militant spiritualism of the Archangel Michael. Local folklore warns of the Bell of the Abyss, which is said to ring on its own when the boundary between the living and the dead grows thin. A profound, crushing silence hangs over the courtyards, broken only by the icy wind that feels like the Archangel's wings brushing against the stone. If this is the gateway to heaven, why does it feel so much like a fortress guarding the mouth of hell? Do not let the serene face of the 32-meter-tall Maitreya Buddha deceive you. This monastery is a fortress, guarding the gateway to the high-altitude deserts of the Nubra Valley. Founded in the 14th century by Changzem Tserab Zangpo, a disciple of the founder of the Gelugpa sect, Diskit Monastery is the oldest and largest Buddhist center in the region. Perched at an altitude of 3,144 meters, it is built into a steep mountainside, overlooking the floodplains of the Shyok River. The architecture is a rugged mix of Tibetan stonework and mud brick, featuring a complex of prayer halls decorated with fierce murals of protective deities and a massive elevated statue that was consecrated by the Dalai Lama to promote world peace and protect the valley from territorial conflict. The monastery appears like a whitewashed crown sitting atop a jagged, sun-scorched throne of brown rock, dominating the monochromatic landscape of the Himalayas. The stark white buildings and colorful prayer flags provide the only vibration of life in a world of silence and shifting sands. As the golden morning light strikes the gilded face of the Maitreya Buddha, the entire mountain seems to radiate a divine energy that can be felt in the very marrow of your bones. Local monks tell stories of a demon that once inhabited the mountain, whose body remains buried beneath the monastery's foundations to ensure it never rises again. In the dead of night, the wind howling through the chortens sounds like a low-frequency hum of ancient mantras. Is the Buddha watching over the valley, or is he keeping a dark, subterranean power from breaking through the earth? Stand in awe at the base of the Killer Mountain, a colossal pyramid of ice and rock that demands absolute reverence from anyone who dares to look upon its summit. Reaching a staggering height of 8,126 meters, Nanga Parbat is the 9th highest mountain in the world and serves as the western anchor of the Himalayas. Its most terrifying feature is the Rupal face, a vertical wall of granite and ice that rises 4,600 meters from the valley floor, making it the highest mountain face on the planet. Historically, this peak earned its grim nickname due to the high number of fatalities among early explorers, yet it remains the ultimate prize for high-altitude climbers seeking to test the limits of human survival in an environment where oxygen is a luxury and the wind can shatter bone. The mountain looks like a jagged, celestial diamond rising from the emerald depths of the Indus Valley, its snowy flanks appearing as the petrified ribs of a cosmic giant. The contrast between the lush green meadows of Fairy Meadows and the monochromatic lethal white of the peak creates a visual shock that feels like standing at the edge of the world. As the sun sets, the summit glows with a fierce, blood-orange radiance, appearing as a burning torch held by the hand of the earth. There is a profound, crushing silence here that forces the soul to confront its own insignificance. Ancient legends speak of the mountain spirits who decide who may pass and who must stay forever in the ice. Can we truly conquer such a titan? Or are we merely shadows passing through its eternal, frozen dream? Stand on the edge of the world's most mysterious volcanic theater, where 3 crater lakes change color like the shifting moods of a sleeping deity. Mount Kelimutu, located on the island of Flores, is a 1,639-meter volcano famous for its 3 acidic lakes, Tiwu Atabupu, Tiwu Koofai Nuamuri, and Tiwu Atapolo. The engineering of nature here is a chemical marvel. The colors, ranging from deep red to turquoise to midnight black, are caused by varying mineral concentrations and volcanic gas activity. Remarkably, the lakes change color independently of each other, a phenomenon that has baffled scientists for decades but is perfectly understood by the local Leo people as the resting place of departed souls. The craters look like 3 giant colored eyes peering out from a scorched, monochromatic landscape of volcanic ash and gray stone. The vibrant, unnatural hues of the water look like pools of spilled ink on a barren planet, appearing as if the earth is dreaming in vivid color while the mountain sleeps. In the misty dawn, the lakes glow with a ghostly, internal luminescence, and the thick sulfur clouds wrap around the rim like a protective veil. Local elders warn that when the colors shift, the spirits are restless, and the mountain is preparing to speak. A profound, unsettling vibration permeates the ground, a reminder of the fire that burns beneath the beauty. Are these lakes a map of the afterlife, or are they a warning of the fire that waits to reclaim the world? A monument to human defiance, this concrete titan holds back the wrath of a sleeping god to fuel the pulse of a new era. Standing 235 meters long and 185 meters high, the Three Gorges Dam is the world's largest hydroelectric power station, a monolith so massive it shifted the Earth's rotation by a fraction of a second. It tamed the Yangtze's ancient floods, creating a 600-kilometer reservoir that drowned cities and history alike. Visually, it looks like a giant gray shield driven into the heart of the mountains, a barrier of steel and mist. A fierce electric radiance reflects off the falling water, echoing a sense of absolute mastery over the elements. As the roar of the turbines vibrates through the stone, the air feels heavy with the pressure of time. Are we the masters of the river, or have we just built a cage for a power that will eventually break free? Look into the abyss, for the ground has vanished beneath a red needle that threads the clouds 565 meters above the Beipan River. This is the world's highest bridge, a cable-stayed titan that connects the rugged limestone peaks of Guizhou and Yunnan. The engineering utilized a pioneering cantilever system to build the 341-meter span without disturbing the fragile ecology of the gorge below. Visually, the bridge looks like a slender crimson rib stretched across a jagged monochromatic gap, appearing as thin as a spider's silk in the swirling mountain fog. A cold, silver light reflects off the steel cables, echoing the whispers of the void spirits that dwell in the deep. Rumors persist that the wind howling through the gorge is the sound of the mountain trying to pull the bridge down. Is the bridge a triumph of human will, or is it a fragile tether waiting for the abyss to wake up? Enter the gates of the City of Wonders, where the foundations of human civilization were laid in sun-dried brick and the dreams of kings. Located in the fertile plains between the Tigris and Euphrates, Babylon was the capital of the Neo-Babylonian Empire under Nebuchadnezzar II, who built the legendary Ishtar Gate and the fabled Hanging Gardens. The engineering of the city was unparalleled in the ancient world, featuring massive double walls wide enough for chariots to pass, and a complex irrigation system that turned the desert into a lush paradise. Historically, It was here that the Code of Hammurabi established the first laws of man, creating a blueprint for justice that has echoed through 4 millennia of human history. The ruins look like a sprawling golden labyrinth emerging from the dust, with the reconstructed blue-glazed bricks of the Ishtar Gate appearing as a celestial jewel in a monochromatic world. The crumbling mud brick towers resemble the skeletal remains of a dream that was too big for the earth to hold, standing as a silent testament to the hubris of empires. As the desert wind howls through the empty courtyards, a pale, ghostly light reflects off the silt, and the shadows of the past seem to move between the broken arches. Chilling warnings from the past suggest that the Tower of Babel was a reach for the heavens that ended in silence. There is a heavy, vibrating energy in the soil, the weight of 1,000,000 forgotten voices. Does the dust remember the glory of the kings, or is it glad they are gone? Second only to the great meteoron in size and influence, the monastery of Varlam represents the height of 16th century monastic prosperity and architectural ambition. Founded in 1517 by 2 brothers, Hosios Theophanes and Nectarios, on the site where the hermit Varlam lived in the 14th century, the complex sites on a rock 373 meters high. It reportedly took 22 years to haul all the construction materials to the summit, yet the actual building of the main church was completed in only 20 days, a feat of logistical organization that remains a point of historical pride. The monastery features a magnificent Catholicon, dedicated to All Saints, adorned with intricate frescoes by the famous hagiographer Frangos Catalanos, reflecting the sophisticated cultural heritage of the Byzantine era. The monastery looks like a majestic stone ship sailing across a vast, monochromatic ocean of grey pillars, its red roofs acting as the only vibrant sails in a landscape of stone. The sheer verticality of the rock face gives the impression that the buildings are floating, detached from the gravity that governs the valley. In the fading twilight, the stone walls absorb the amber glow of the sun, creating an atmosphere of profound, silent dignity. The local faithful believe that the monastery is protected by the collective spirit of the saints who built it, a shield against the chaos of the outside world. Is this a fortress of stone or a monument to the unyielding power of human patience and divine inspiration? How does an entire civilization simply vanish from its stone fortresses, leaving behind nothing but the silence of the canyon and the dust of its kivas? Mesa Verde is the largest archaeological preserve in the United States, featuring over 600 cliff dwellings built by the ancestral Puebloans between 1190 and 1300 AD. These structures, built into the alcoves of massive sandstone cliffs, range from one-room storage units to massive villages like Cliff Palace with over 150 rooms. The technical skill required to build these multi-story stone cities without metal tools or draft animals is staggering, utilizing the natural geometry of the rock to create a defensible and sustainable urban environment. Yet, by 1300, the cities were empty, the fires were out, and the people were gone. The ruins looked like broken ivory-colored teeth embedded in the dark, yawning mouth of the mountain, skeletal remains of a dream that was abandoned in its prime. The geometric precision of the square towers and circular kivas creates a haunting silhouette against the organic, weathered arches of the sandstone. Under a desert moon, the ruins glow with a sickly silver light. And the empty doorways look like paths into a void that has no end. Ancient tribal warnings caution that the energy of the old ones remains trapped in the mortar, and that the spirits are not dead, merely waiting. When the wind moans through the empty rooms, it sounds like a collective whisper of 1,000 lost souls. Is the silence of Mesa Verde a sign of peace, or a lingering echo of a catastrophe that the stones refuse to reveal? Witness the Manger village of Portugal, a dark shimmering jewel made entirely of schist and slate, hidden deep in the folds of the Serra do Arco. Piodão is a medieval refuge, where the houses are built from the very mountain they stand upon, featuring dark brown stone walls and roofs made of flat slate slabs that glisten like fish scales in the rain. The architecture is a masterclass in local resourcefulness, with narrow, steep alleys that follow the natural contours of the cliff to prevent the village from sliding into the valley. Historically, its isolation made it a perfect hideout for outlaws and those fleeing political turmoil, preserving its 15th century character almost perfectly into the modern era. The village looks like a dark stone diamond, embedded in a lush green velvet cushion, its houses stacked so tightly they appear as a single, multifaceted organism. The only break in the monochromatic brown is the bright blue trim on the doors and windows, a color chosen because it was allegedly the only paint available in the local store for decades. At dusk, when the yellow streetlights illuminate the slate roofs, Piodão glows with a soft, ethereal luminescence that makes it look like a magical village from a fairy tale. Local legends speak of the Shepherd's Light, a ghostly flame that guides lost travelers back to the stone walls. There is a profound sense of peace and ancient rhythm here, where the mountain air feels like a healing balm. Is this village a dream made of stone? Or is it the only real thing left in a world of plastic? Looming with 1,000 silent eyes, the Yungan grottoes pose a haunting question. Why did an ancient empire carve 51,000 divine beings into a single kilometer of sandstone? Constructed between 460 and 524 AD, during the Northern Wei dynasty, this site represents the first peak of Chinese Buddhist cave art. The engineering involved the massive excavation of 252 caves into the side of the Wuju Mountains, featuring statues ranging from a few centimeters to a towering 17-meter Buddha. The technical precision of the 5 caves of Tanyao demonstrates a sophisticated understanding of rock stability and proportions, blending Central Asian motifs with traditional Chinese aesthetics to create a vertical gallery of celestial power. The cliffside looks like a giant, petrified honeycomb of gods, where every hollowed cell vibrates with the frozen energy of 1,000 prayers. The sandstone is weathered into organic curves, making the Buddhas appear to be emerging from the rock as if the mountain were giving birth to the divine. Under the pale light of a winter moon, the statues take on a frighteningly lifelike quality, their shadows lengthening across the valley like reaching hands. There is a chilling local warning that when the mountain wind whistles through the empty niches, it is the sound of the ancestors whispering omens of things to come. Can you feel the weight of 50,000 gazers judging your soul? Or is it just the crushing pressure of 16 centuries of history? Don't blink. The road beneath your tires is a concrete miracle coiling through the clouds of Sichuan. Known as the Sky Road, this 240-kilometer engineering masterpiece features 270 bridges and 25 tunnels, rising from an elevation of 600 meters to over 3,200 meters. The technical data is staggering. The Labajin Bridge stands on pillars 182 meters high, utilizing a hollow core design to withstand the violent seismic activity of the region. Visually, the highway looks like a colossal gray serpent, winding around the jagged green throat of the mountains, appearing to float on a sea of eternal mist. As the golden sunlight pierces the fog, a ghostly radiance follows the curves of the road. Local legends warn of wind spirits that guard the high passes, watching every vehicle that dares to cross their domain. Is the road a path to progress, or have we merely built a bridge into a world where we don't belong? Step into the abyss, where the earth reaches for the stars in 3,000 slender, petrified fingers. This geological miracle features quartzite sandstone pillars that soar over 1,000 meters high, formed by 300 million years of relentless physical erosion and tectonic uplift. The technical data reveals a landscape so vertical that only the hardiest pines can cling to the sheer faces. Visually, the park looks like a stone forest floating in a sea of white silk, where the deep canyons appear as dark, mysterious veins running through the mountain's heart. Warning: local guides caution that the mist hides mountain soldiers who guard the summits from the unworthy. As the pale moon rises, the pillars take on a ghostly, ivory luminescence. Can you feel the vibration of the ancient stone? Or is the mountain merely holding its breath before the next great collapse? Look down from the white limestone ramparts of Bonifacio and witness the sheer terror of a city built on a 70-meter-high overhanging cliff that the sea is slowly eating away. Perched on the southern tip of Corsica, this medieval citadel is built on a narrow peninsula of fragile, chalk-like limestone that has been undercut by thousands of years of relentless Mediterranean gales. The most famous feature is the King of Aragon's stairway, 187 steps carved directly into the cliff face at a 45-degree angle, allegedly built in a single night during the siege of 1420. The houses are built so close to the edge that their windows hover directly over the crashing waves, creating a lifestyle where one's living room is literally suspended above the turquoise abyss. The city looks like a giant, sun-bleached skull, resting on a pedestal of white salt, with the dark sea caves below appearing like hollow sockets waiting to swallow the entire structure. The stark, blinding white of the cliffs contrasts violently with the deep cobalt of the sea, making the town appear as a fragile mirage that might crumble with the next high tide. At night, the phosphorescence of the waves illuminates the underside of the cliffs, giving the city a ghostly, floating appearance. Sailors often speak of the grottoes of the winds beneath the city, where the ocean's roar is transformed into a low-frequency groan that can be felt in the foundations of the houses. There is an unsettling warning among the locals. The sea never forgets a debt, and one day it will reclaim the rock. Is the city a triumph of human daring, or a monument to the inevitable victory of the ocean?